Hello students of class 12. I am PK sir, and today I am uploading the last part of the Thinker Beliefs and the Building, chapter 4, part 1 book. Okay, subject history. Now start the chapter. See, the teaching of the Buddha. Actually, the teaching, or you can say the traditions of the teaching of the Buddha, actually, have been reconstructed from the different kind of stories, and basically it is found in the Sutta Pitaka. Some miraculous stories also you can find out, but different Buddhist book has represented the Buddhist idea so that very easily we can learn and we can know about him and what was his perspective. Okay, like as per the Buddhist philosophy, the world is continuously changing. Okay, and due to our desire, every time you can feel the sorrowness. But he told again that you can cure this sorrowness through these meditations, complete salvations, and definitely good deeds. And this is known as the Ashtangic mark. You have to follow the way. Then you can be free or you can get the nirvana from the cycles of the rebirth. Now Buddha told that if anyone want to escape from this cycle of the rebirth, then attain the self-realization and nirvana. Nirvana means mukti. Okay. Now the second point, followers of the Buddha. Actually, many people started following the Buddhism even when Lord Buddha was, alive. Many supporters also followed him, and it belonged to the different every kind of social groups: king, farmers, artisans, and everyone. So Lord Buddha realized that things day by day increasing of the followers, he made the sangha, where the Buddhist monk would meditate, give teachings to the peoples, and he made some rules and regulations how you would become the monk. And the very favorite follower of the Lord Buddha was Ananda. Ananda requested him that if women want to be the monk, allow them. So, according to the traditions, Mahapajapati Gautami, actually she was the foster mother of the Lord Buddha. She became the first monk, or you can say the nun. So monk was known as the bhikkhu and nun was known as the bhikkhuni, and they lead a very simple life. For the in the early morning, they were traveling from one place to another places, and if they would get any kind of food items, then they had to return it in their sanghas. Then, according to their traditions, they collaboratively divided the food items among their brothers and sisters. In this way, they were leading their life. Understood? Now, coming to the third point, stupas. Actually, after the death of the Lord Buddha, the king Ajasatru, divided his remains. That means, relics, hairs, or you can say that body part, nails. It was divided into 8 parts, and it was buried in different part of the India. After that, the great king Asoka ordered to everyone that build the relic stupa so that the followers of the Buddhism can go there and worship their Lord. So in this way, the concept of the stupa was coming. Though the concept of the stupa was not associated with the Buddhism, but it became very popular. Here in this picture, you can see that stupa. See that it was looking like the half circular. It is known as the anda. Okay, and above the anda there is a hermika, and above the hermika there is an umbrella, and one railings of the concrete cement or the stone walls. You can see that it is called the balconies, or veranda, where according to the Buddhist traditions, you have to follow this circle clockwise. And every stupa there is a four gateway: northern, eastern, western, southern. And there is a rules that you have to enter through the eastern gateway. Then you have to exit exit from the northern gateway. So in different Buddhist literature, several chaitas also mentioned. Chaitas is a worshipping or sacred places related to Buddhism. And in general way, you can say stupa is a kind of temples of the Buddhism. Understood? Now, question is that why stupas were built actually? In Buddhism, several places were regarded as the sacred places where Lord Buddha, visited or given the first the speech to the sermons, or where he was left his mortal lives. So the king Asoka ordered to everyone erecting the stupa. Okay, and it was popularly known as the Buddhist stupa, and it was the worshipping places of the Lord Buddha. So it was the Asoka who built that kind of stupas. Sachi, Sharnath, or in the old Magadha or Pataliputra, you can find out different stupas. Okay. Now, how where stupa built? In the stupa, if you visit the stupa, you can find out different inscriptions on there. Language was the Prakrit, because Prakrit was the common language in that time. And who donated or who have given their labors or whose contribution was there. Everyone names, occupation, places were mentioned. Two gateway of the Sachis, was financed by ivory workers. So their names also mentioned. And who gave the donations, their name also mentioned. So in this way, you can easily assume if you study the inscriptions about the stupas, how was stupa built. In this way, with the help of the many peoples like guild, maybe bhikkhu bhikkhunis, maybe kings or rulers, or you can say that different kind of businessmen, they contributed to build the stupas, because they were the follower of the Buddhism. They wanted to worship, they wanted to create that kind of temples like the Hinduism, so that everyone can realize or recognize that places. That's why stupa was built. Understood? Now the structure of the stupa, you just see the picture. See, generally stupa means heap, and it is a semicircular mound. You can see the semicircular mound, and above the semicircular mound there is a little railing or the baranda. It is called the harmika, and above the harmika you can see another portion. It is called the umbrella, who are giving the knowledge. That means is indicating meaning of the knowledge. Harmika means it is the resting places or connecting with the other places of the universe. Okay, and you can see the another railing. You can see the another railing. This railing actually, according to the Buddhist tradition, you have to move the clockwise, and 7 times you have to, follow this circle. After this, after that, your worshipping would be completed, and you have to enter in this stupa through this eastern gateway. Okay, so this gateway you can see very, clearly, richly carved. Many kind of stories you can find out from the stupas. So that's why in the history, stupa is a very, very important to reconstruct the past, to reconstruct the history, not only the Buddhism, even it was associated with the Hinduism, you can find out easily. The story of the Ramayana also is there. The story of the different traditions of the Hinduism is there. Okay, so that's why stupa is a very, very important source of history to know about the ancient past. And everyone have to enter into stupa clockwise. I have told you, see that. Okay, so everyone should visit the stupa because it is a very beautifully carved, very beautifully constructed, and it is a very important to note that how they were did this, because in that time no specific kind of you cannot say weapons or accessories was there. So they brought these stones, made these different kind of carving things, and in this gateway, how they carve very beautifully the story of the Lord Buddha's life and others association things. So definitely that everyone have to study this stupa. Understood? Now we will talk about the Amaravati and Sanchi. Right now, Amaravati is the capital city maybe of the that I think Telangana or Andhra Pradesh. Maybe I'm wrong, but Amaravati, one of the largest stupa have been found in the world, because in the world you can find out different stupa in the all over part of the world: China, Japan, Malaysia, Thailand, even in the Indonesia is also. So in India, this Amaravati stupa was the largest, and in the year of 1796 a local ruler actually wanted to build a temples where right now Amaravati stupa is situated or located. So they collected the stones from the stupa of the Amaravati. Actually, he did not realize that what is that. So after some years, a British officer visited there, and his name was Colin Mackenzie. He then drawn this everything what he has seen. In the year of 1854, Walter Elliot visited the site and collected the several sculptures. Right now, it is in the London or the Paris Museum. He discovered the remains of the Western Gateway in that time. Then he realized and concluded that this Amaravati was one of the largest and significant Buddhist stupa ever built in the world. Because inside the stupa there was a garden, and he beautifully carved the that four gateway, and some slabs of the stupa began to began to taken away by the Aseric Society. Right now it is in the Kolkata, very near to the Park Street. You can find out some slabs of the Amaravati stupas in there, and most of the things has been taken away by the British. Right now it is in the London Museum. And the historian H. Cole retained that what British are doing, it is not so good, because British are taking all the slabs and that these kind of erected pillars and sent to the Paris or sent to the London Museum. It is a suicidal policy to allow that or looted this kind of original works of the ancient world. Even he believed that museums should be theirs. Right now, you can find out the museum, and you can definitely gain extra knowledge regarding the Amaravati or different kind of stupa or what were the importance. Understood? Right now, we are forgetting that about our history, about our past, but we don't know that our cultures, our history was so rich. And if you visit that places, then definitely automatically the interest regarding your history subject will be grown up. Understood? Now the question is, why did Sachi survive? Sachi Stupa, while Amaravati did not? Definitely, because scholar did not realize the importance of the Amaravati and how critical when you are protecting something that kind of slabs or that kind of historical importance, how critical to preserve things. But when Sachi was discovered in the 1818, the Nawab of the Bhopal, she did not allow the British and the French to take away that things. Three gateway were still standing in that area, and fourth gateway have been taken away already Paris or the London. But after that, she had not given the permissions to the British and the French, and some other factors like Navapada Bhopal and John Marshall actually initiated some steps. John Marshall was known as the friend of the India because he believed that what India had, India was the first civilization. In India, the first civilization flourished, and they have taught to everyone. So that's why he was very much aware to preserve these things in their original size. Even the Mahachaita of the Amaravati now is looking like little mount, and lost its glory because of our lack of awareness, and definitely the British. And we have to take care of that kind of historical things, because this is the actual India. This was the actual India. Understood? Now, what kind of sculptures you can find out in the gateway of the stupas? See that the picture of the stupas. Here, already we got to know that different kind of sculptures were removed and sent to the Europe. That is different matter. But in the stones, different kind of stories you can definitely find out. It is a see that the picture. It is a rural scenes with the heart and the trees. Can we able to see the picture? So, art historian carefully study and reconstruct this and tells us what was that. It was a from the Vasantara Jataka. This story had been taken from the Vasantara Jataka, and this is a visualizing image of the Vasantara Jataka stories. Actually, this story is about there was a generous prince who gave away everything to the Brahmin and lived in a jungle with his family happily. Historians try to understand that the meaning of these textual evidences, and they find out and they saw that these kind of stories it was related to the Buddhism, and this Vasantara Jataka is a Buddhist textbook. And there are some sculptures. See that several kind of symbols you can find out. Point number one pillar, symbols of the worship. See that art historian carefully studied this, and from the hagiographies of the Buddha in order to understand these sculptures. They use the hagiographics of the Buddha. Hagiographic means the story of the religious guru. So, according to the hagiographies, Buddha attained enlightenment with meditating under the tree. Symbol is empty seat. See, you can see that empty seat is there. So, it means he was meditating under a tree. And there is a stupa. This stupa represented Mahaparinirvana. That means Lord Buddha left his body, this mortal body, and went to the that you can say it heaven, or you can say another things. And the wheels, the third one, this is a symbol that when Lord Buddha given his feelings or the expression to his first sermon in the Sarnath. So these all kind of symbolize that event and happened actually in the life of the Buddha. In this way, sculptures been familiar to understand the actual history. So again, I am reciting again. Listen very carefully. This kind of sculptures, we try to reconstruct the history through this hagiographic of the Lord Buddha. I have told you what is the meaning of the hagiographics. So according to this is a there is a sculpture you can see that empty seat is there. That means Lord Buddha attending enlightenment while meditating under the tree. Understood? Now, this one in the middle sculpture you can see the stupa. The sculpture of the stupa is there. That means it represented the Mahaparinirvana. That means Lord Buddha left his mortal body. And the third one, you can see the wheel. It was a symbol of the first sermon of the Buddha. That means he expressed his feelings about the truth and the reality to his first sermon. That was the Ananda. Okay, so these all kind of symbols actually happened in Lord Buddha life. Understood? Now, regarding the sculptures, there is a popular traditions. Perhaps some sculptures in the Sachi did not directly inspire from the Buddhism, because here is the evidences. See that the last sculpture or the starting sculpture, there is a woman. Actually, she represented it, that she was a deity of the fortune, because woman touched the trees and to the flower and the bear fruits. That means she was a fortunate deity or fortune deity. Okay, and these traditions was belong to the Saivism or the Vaishnavism or the Hinduism. So Jataka was one kind of Buddhist textbook. It contains several animal stories and it symbolized the Buddhists. Okay. In the sculpture, what kind of story I have explained or our art historian already explained. It was actually collected from the different popular traditions. It belonged to the Buddhism, Hinduism maybe, or Saivism maybe, or other, that kind of things. You can see in the sculptures. Even some kind of stories visualized from you can find out in this on these sculptures from the Jatakas. Jataka is another Buddhist textbook, like elephant. When you see the sculpture of the elephant, that means it represents the strength and the wisdom, and it was belong to also the Jatakas. Okay, so in this way, different kind of traditions has been taken from different sources, and in this way, sculptures were constructed or built. Now, the new religious tradition, the development of the Mahayana Buddhism. Actually, Kusana ruler, during the Kusana ruler Kanishka, the Buddhism has been divided into two parts according to the concept Mahayana Buddhism and Hinayana Buddhism. Okay, and Nagarjuna and the Asvaghas. Okay, they conducted this fourth Buddhist Sangit. It happened in the 78 CE maybe. So, in the earlier time, the Lord Buddha was regarded as the human being and who attained the enlightenment. But from this time, during the first century CE, or you can say 78 CE, this idea has been changed. Buddha attained nirvana through his own effort. That means he was a savior. Okay, so even the concept of the Bodhisattva was developed. Bodhisattva means Lord Buddha was a deity, or the worship of the images of the Lord Buddha and the Bodhisattva became a very very important part of these traditions. And right now it is also still going on, like Hinduism. Now the new way of the thinking was called Mahayana and Hinayana. Mahayana means the great vehicles, and Hinayana means the older concept of the Buddhism. So, in this way, Buddhism has been, or thinking of the Buddhism has been divided into two parts. In the year of 78 CE, during the ruling of the Kanishka. Understood? Now, the next point is the growth of the Puranic traditions. Now, this kind of concept of the savior was not unique to the Buddhism. Actually, is already included in the Saivism, Hinduism, or similar ideas you can find out there. Okay. Now Vaishnavism, Vishnu was worshipped as a savior. You know that's 10 incarnation of the Lord Buddha, Lord Vishnu. Okay, and according to that, cult developed around the various avatar, Kurma, Varaha, Vamana, or Bhagwan Ram or Sri Krishna. Okay, so in this picture, I have given one picture. See that this is the 10th incarnation of the Lord Buddha. That is known as the famous Kalki incarnation. Kalki was shown as a savior of the world. And in the different parts of the country, different avatars were very popular. And in the Saivism, he was symbolized by the lingas. That means Lord Shiva was symbolized as lingas and sometimes represented as the human forms also. Even sometimes Lord Shiva was represented in sculpture. You can find out. See that Lord Shiva. And to understand this kind of meaning of this, historian took help of the Puranas. Puranas is a very ancient textbook where different kind of traditions, different kind of stories regarding Hinduism you can find out. So in this way, the Puranic traditions growth visualize in different sculptures. Okay, like Buddhism, different kind of visualize matter or the stories you can find out in the different sculptures or the stupas. Similarly, the Puranic tradition means which has written on the Puranas, the book of the Puranas. Okay, we have 18 Puranas, so that visualize in this sculpture form. Understood? Now, concept regarding the building temples. Actually, The concept of the building temples, it was originated many years before, 1,000 years before. If you look the temple very clearly, you can see that some yogi person was sitting, the mastaka, gripa, the body, then the legs. In this way, temples was built. So it was a small square room. Temples means small square room. It was known as the Garbhagriha, where the idols or the images are replaced. Okay, so it is called the Garbhagriha. And the tall structure, can you see the tall structure? It is known as the Sikhara was built over the central room. That is the Sikhara, or the, you can say it in English, superstructures. Second part, when you are coming from Garbhagriha, okay, to the outer portion, it is called the Nata Mandapa, where different kind of dance form of the heaven dance form was organized. And the third part was known as the Bhoga Mandapa, where different bhog of the of different gods were distributing among the peoples. Bhoga Mandapa. So in the earlier time, the different temples actually were constructed out of the huge rocks. Now, through the tradition of the artificial caves were constructed in the 3rd century BCE on the order of the Ashoka. If you go to the Rajgriha, you can see the different kind of artificial caves also. So temples means, again I am telling about the concept of the temple. When you entering the temple, it is called the outer portion of the temple. Then you are entering another portion. It is called the Bhoga Mandapa. So in the Bhoga Mandapa, in the name of the deity, uh, different bhogas were distributing among the bhaktas. Then you are entering another, you know, another floor, not floor, another part towards the Garbhagriha. It is known as the Nata Mandapa. You are performing dance and singing to your worshipping god. Then finally you are entering the main entrance doorway of the temple. It is known as the Garbhagriha. Okay, and the structures which was built over the Garbhagriha, it was known as the superstructures or Sikharas. And above the Sikharas, there is a ghat and kalasha and one flag. So this is the structures of the temples in India, and different kind of temples, thousand kind of temples of different gods you can find out in the India. Okay, understood? Now the last portions of this chapter. Can we see everything? Grappling with the unfamiliar. Actually, 13th century, during the 13th century, several European scholars were familiar of the Greek and Roman traditions because already they have worked historical, they have done different kind of historical work with the Greek and Romans. They did not even know any other traditions apart from the Greek and Romans. So for that reason, why they saw that kind of sculptures in India regarding god and goddess, they were laughing. They did not realize, and they were calling that we are the Indians are the primate. Okay, it was looking like the strange because they were already familiar with the Greek and Roman tradition. That was very very bad things. In this way, they were representing India in the outer world. Okay, but some scholars definitely were very excited when they discovered the images of the Buddha and Bodhisattva, because Bodhisattva and Buddha model, which model was known as the which tradition was known as the Hinayana traditions. Understood? 78 C, I have told you. Actually, this was based on the Greek model, and this art is known as the Gandhara art. It was a mixing culture. Okay, because in that time there was a connection, trading connection between Rome and Greek with the India, and Kanishka was the ruler in that time. So, to by influencing this art, he ordered to everyone after the Hinayana concept was originated. Buddhas and Bodhisattva model or images you can find out in the northern India. So this was the result of the Gandhara art, and Gandhara art based on the Greek model. So historian was familiar. So then they realized Then they became excited. Okay, because these all were very close to the Greek model, they adopted a strategy. Okay, devising, yardsticks derived from the familiar to make sense of the unfamiliar. That means when that was a tradition for the historian. If they do not understand what is this, they always said that it is for the religious matter. It is for the it was looking like a religious matter. Like I'm giving you one example. In the Harappa, there is a one image we have found in the Harappan seals, that the image of the jogi man, because they did not realize what exactly, why were they depicted, or that kind of image on the Harappan seal. They told that it was belong to the religious matter. Okay, great bath was used for the religious matter because they did not realize. So it happened or started in that time in India by the European scholars. Understood my that what I'm trying to say? Okay, so I have finished this chapter. I hope you understood. And if you have any problem, definitely you can contact with me. And I'm uploading the questions answer regarding the chapter. Okay, so hope for the best. Stay happy and don't go outside during this pandemic situations. Thank you very much.